When the O30s launched last summer, we found it to be, well, a little underwhelming. I mean, we were excited that someone had finally tried to make the R36S in a horizontal form factor, but this was not the R36S, guys. And so we found the plastic to be just a little bit cheap. And it had clicky triggers, so we opened it up and we looked inside and we discovered that it had a pretty nice board inside and it was laid out pretty well. But we saw why those triggers were clicky. Well, now, half a year later, they've relaunched it and updated it with a new shell, new materials, and hopefully improved quality. But now that the mighty R36H is out, the one from the R36S people, can this keep up? Can it compete? Today, we're going to take a look and have a battle of R36H versus the refreshed O30s. Come here. Shh. Did you know that there is fluoride in our water? Did you know they're putting fluoride in our water? Every day you drink water, you're getting fluoride. And RFK says to... No, wait. I'm not a conspiracy nut, but I do think fluoride is okay in your toothpaste. Hey, deadheads. Welcome back to the channel. Or welcome to the channel for the first time, new deadheads. Today, we're taking a look at... Today we're taking a look at the O30s once again. We reviewed this one last summer, but now they've released it in some brand new translucent colors. So we're going to take a look at this. We got the orange. We're going to check it out, re-review it, and also compare it to the R36H and see, which one we like better out of the two. Anyways, remember to hit that like button and subscribe so you never miss an episode of our content. And let's get this bad boy going. All right, so let's take a look at the box here. And it's a very attractive box. It's got open source smart pocket listed on it, the O30s handheld game console. The top of it has this nice little feel to it. It's kind of slick, but also textured, which is really nice. And one of the things that I thought was very interesting was this slogan that they're showing on it. On the box here on the bottom, there's a slogan. It says, "Purpose built to spark your imagination." Now where have we seen that before? Oh, that's right, the Trimui. So look, check it out. The Trimui Smart Pro also has that same slogan. So it makes me wonder, are these somehow connected? Is this a vendor that Trimui just didn't pick this up? I don't know. But that's kind of fascinating, interesting that they have the same slogan and look similar in the box. Anyways, as we check out the side of the box here, we do have some more information on the side. We've got the O30s handheld game console, the logo on the side, and then we did have the colorways here. Now, even though this has translucent colors, they're not marked on this box. This is the same box that shipped in the one that we reviewed 6 months ago. So even though they've launched some new colors recently, they haven't updated the box. So as we turn and look on the back of this now, we do have some specs here on the box. So we'll talk about these specs real quick and look them over. And these specs, again, are pretty standard. We do have the Rockchip 3326, the Mali G31 with 1 gigabyte of LPDDR3. So pretty standard stuff here. It's a 3.5-inch 640 by 480 4:3 aspect IPS laminated full fit screen, and it's running a 3000 milliamp hour battery. So we pretty much have identical specs to the R36H. It's the same thing, guys, on the inside here as far as the motherboard goes and the chipset. So we even have the same size battery here. So Now let's hop into this box and let's get this box open. All right, so as we take the lid off, pop, and we get the lid out of here, we see inside, and there's our typical handheld, and we'll move that out of the way for right now, take that out and see what's hiding below. And below we have a USB charger, no surprise there, USB A to C charger with the white cap. And then it looks like we have our manual. So let's take a peek here at the manual and just look it over for a second. And it looks like it's a pretty good, well-written, detailed manual. Now, I know you deadheads are so excited every time I put manual footage in here. But maybe one of you will pause it and use it if you lose the manual. So I do it for the team, deadheads. So yeah, there's your manual. So let's get everything back in this and let's take a look at the handheld. Okay, and as we take the top part off of this, the little foam protective covering, it's always good that it comes in a foam protective covering. And okay, so we have reviewed this before previously. Go check out our previous video. But holding this, it feels the same, although this is different plastic. This is translucent, transparent, whichever you prefer, plastic. And so it feels pretty good in the hands holding it. I'm reminded one of the things that I really liked about this one is the feel of it. I'd say that the plastics of this one is pretty good, better than the original. The original felt a little bit cheap, so I'm kind of impressed with these plastics. I think they've improved their plastics. But let's kind of take a look at the hardware here and let's do a little bit of testing here. And let's look at the buttons and let's test the buttons. And pretty nice buttons. I do like these buttons, okay? And one thing that I like about these buttons is that they're independent. So when you press them, they're not pressing on the other buttons next to them. Now, if we take a look at the R36H, unfortunately on that one, if you press a button, you can see clearly that it is affecting and pressing the button next to it. That doesn't mean it's going to register in game. I just think it's better when they're done this way and they're kind of independent and separated. So the buttons are pretty good. Again, I'd say they're a little bit improved over the original one that we tested about 6 months ago. So again, it looks like not only are the plastics improved here in the appearance of it, it looks like the buttons have stepped up just a little bit. But let's take a look at the D-pad. And the D-pad feels good. It feels good. It has a good pivot to it. It feels solid in there. It doesn't feel like there's any issues with it. It is a really good D-pad. Now, again, comparing it directly with the R36H, I'd say the D-pads are pretty identical. They're both really decent D-pads. By no means is this the best D-pad that we've ever tested, but I'm saying at this price point, at this 35 and under price point, this is a pretty good solid D-pad. So no troubles there. And of course, it's got the switch sticks that we're all sick of, you know, but these are standard sticks. Now, one thing we want to talk about, the biggest difference here between these two is obviously that you have your sticks here in the configuration for your retro gaming with the sticks on bottom, both of them. The R36H has elected to go with the more modern stick on top, D-pad on bottom. Let's also take a look at these triggers. And these triggers are stacked. So that's another thing to consider in the difference between the R36H and the O30s is that you have stacked shoulder buttons with the O30s, and then you have an inline shoulder buttons on the R36H. So between the two, if you have a preference, you'll know which one you like. We generally like the inline ones for pocketability. But in this case, these stacked shoulders don't stick out very far, so they're actually pretty good. In using them, they're a little loud, just a little bit. So they are loud, kind of clicky. The R36H, much quieter. So between the two, it's more loud on the shoulder buttons on these. But I'd say I'd have to prefer this one again, the O30s. And so as we take a look around the unit itself, it does have your volume on top. It has your reset and power button on the top. And this is pretty much identical to the R36H. They're just in a different order. So you can kind of see on the R36H here, the order between the two and the difference of them. On the sides here, there's nothing on the side of either one of them. So the sides are left different and empty. And then the bottom of them, again, mimicking each other. We do have a DC port and an OTG port. Then we have 2 game cards and a headphone jack. So again, when you look at the bottom of this, we're just moving things in different positions, but we really have the same ports that we have on each one of these. So again, we're talking about 2 units that are fairly identical in many, many different ways. So let's start playing some of the games here and see how it does. So as we start to show some game footage here and play on this, the question becomes, between these 2 budgets battling it out, the R36H battling directly with the refreshed O30s, which one of these do we prefer? Which one does Dead Fred prefer? And I can say with confidence that had the refreshed O30s not come out, I would have picked the R36H. But this is a lot better, guys. It doesn't feel as cheap as it did previously. I think they're using better plastics. It seems nicer. It's well put together. The clickiness of the shoulder buttons is not nearly as loud or bad as it was with our original review. And these are performing identical, okay? We're talking about 2 handsets, 2 handhelds that basically are identical on the inside. So the differences you have are in the build quality and the software support. Now, they're both running ArkOS. So the software support is pretty identical. Although I think the R36H probably has a little bit of a hand up on that with the support coming from the team that's been pushing from the R36S. The H has these really nice pads on the back where it's just slick on the back of the O30s. And as we said earlier, the only real difference, or the biggest difference between the 2 of these, is whether you prefer D-pad up or D-pad down. Now, guys, we're not playing PS2 on this. We're not getting into Switch. We're not going to, you're probably not going to stream on this. So I prefer the O30s. I prefer the sticks on bottom. There's not a whole lot of games I'm going to play both sticks on anyways. And holding this and playing the games that I'm going to make the most out of this on this 4:3 screen, I want the D-pad up top. And I mentioned in the review of this that I was curious why they did that. I think to avoid confusion or maybe a lawsuit with this one. I don't really know, guys. I just know that between the 2, D-pad top, D-pad bottom is the biggest significant difference. The other secondary significant difference is if you want stacked shoulders or you want inline shoulders. Aside from that, these are both orange. Now, they don't look the same. Transparent orange doesn't look the same. This is much bright. It's a brighter orange, very closer to the orange R36S that we loved. This is a more peach, a more muted peach color. I've got to say, between the 2, I'm digging this one as well. I think the theme is kind of coming here that I've decided I like the O30s better, guys. The refresh has sold me on it. I wasn't big on that original one. Again, it felt kind of cheap and plasticky. It had some loud triggers, and it just didn't spark that sort of joy in me. But this one is. This one is doing it. I do like the pads on the back of this, and don't get me wrong, I like the R36H. We just posted a deal on this. These things are getting down into the sub 30s, under $30. And this right here, this refresh is running at about $40. Now you can get the original set and original colors for about the same price as this. but these are better. The price will go down on these. They will drop in price eventually, and I do think that it will be worth spending a little more to get this right now. The batteries are identical. The CPUs are identical. The software that it's running is identical. The weight of it is very close. The size of it's very close. So it really comes down to whether you want that D-pad up top or not, and stacked shoulders or inline shoulders. So guys, let me know what you think. I want to hear your feedback. But in this battle of the R36H versus the refreshed O30s, I'm picking the O30s, guys. I just think it has a bit of an advantage, and I love the R36s line. So hopefully they'll refresh this one and improve on it as well. I think I like the buttons on the O30s as well too, between the two. Although I really love the buttons that they have. Just again, the fact that when you press it and they all move together, I just like the more independent style of the buttons on these. So remember to hug your loved ones and love your hugged ones, because tomorrow is never promised. Hope you're enjoying these reviews. We got a lot more coming. It's 2025, guys. Are we going to see another crazy year? I don't know. But Dev Fred's here to live in the land of e-waste and test all these crazy items out so you can look at them and decide if they're for you. We'll see you next time, Deadheads. Dev Fred out.